The Morgan Thomas Show.
For the thousands watching on Facebook and YouTube, and we're not on the Roar tonight, so not the millions listening on 105.5 and 97.5 The Roar. This is the Morgan Thomas Show. I'm your host and producer tonight because, again, we're not with Ramona in the studio, but we welcome you in and we appreciate you being a part of the show tonight. Again, we are live in the Man Cave studios here in our own homes, joining you, and I hope you're enjoying where you're at over on Facebook or YouTube as you tune in. We've got a lot to talk about. Clemson's recruiting class, Clemson's roster, Clemson's impact of this roster and this recruiting class impact for this year and next year to come, and then any other thoughts that you may have as you get in. So get into the comments over on Facebook and YouTube. We would appreciate it. Alongside me is two of the greatest co-hosts to ever co-host my show, the one that has been co-hosting the longest. And Al, by the way, Facebook memory just showed up and told me that 2 days ago, 3 years ago, that was my first ever live stream.
Mm-hmm.
So we are now into our 4th year. So welcome in, Big Al.
It's been a long time. It's a little bit different environment tonight, but we haven't done this in a long time, man. Like I said, I had to find my camera. I had to find my microphone. I had to find the light. I had to find it all. Was not sure I was going to be able to make it here tonight. So glad to be here. A lot of good stuff to talk about. A lot of Clemson stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And then also Mr. Houston Burnett over to the far right. Welcome in.
Yep, super glad to be here. I think we got the daughter down. You know, she's asleep right now, so I think I'm all right. I'll if you see me like get up, I don't think I have to. If you see me get up, you know why.
Well, I appreciate you getting in and being a part of the show. Again, we got an hour. We're going to try to get it through. And let's go through our chat real quick and say hello to people who are already in. And if you don't mind, make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe over on YouTube or follow us over on Facebook. And then if you don't mind, also sharing with your friends so that you can have them be a part of this Clemson show that we do. All right. So over on Facebook, we've got John. I'm not even going to attempt that last name, but John thought I'd check this out. Well, John, I appreciate it. Looks like you have a tiger as your picture. So I hope that you are a Tiger fan joining us in. Then also our longest fan, Kevron Harris over on Facebook. Good evening, Big Al, Alan Adams, Houston Burnett, and Morgan Thomas. Then we've got Todd Teal. Let's go, Tiger fan for life. For life. For life. Thanks for coming in, Todd. We've got Edward over on Facebook. Do we get Trevor Etienne? We're going to talk about that as we go through the show tonight. John says, will there be a surprise commit tomorrow? I don't know. We'll have to talk about that, think about it a little more as well. That's me saying welcome in, everybody, clicking on my own comment there. Then we got Bill is a longtime fan. Let's get a tour of the Man Cave. Well, I've got my Atlanta Braves over here, my Atlanta Braves jersey, my Clemson jersey, and my U.S. Army jersey. The West Point jersey you can't see on the screen, but you might have seen those in our video. Al is got an orange background, and then Clemson looks like Houston looks like he's got Clemson degrees back there behind him. So
yeah, we got the both degrees from Clemson in the back. My wife's degree from Furman and her degree from Charleston. You can't see over to my right. I've got a little shelf full of all the Clemson memorabilia, footballs, and some stuff from a memorable run for the Chapman Panthers in the 2007 Upper State Championship. So I got all that over there. You can't see it.
Corporal Huss gets in. This is a great show. Welcome. You will enjoy it. John Sarian Morgan will who recruits will go after portal guys to get in recruits we go after portal guys to get in February. Excited to see the new coordinators. Let's go. Yeah, we're going to talk about coordinators. We're going to talk about recruits. We're talking about the portal, all that stuff. John says, did Ramona kick you out? Yes, she may have kicked us out tonight. No, they are doing a bowl show tonight. And so we're wanting to continue with our normal time. So Kevron says, all in from Cope, South Carolina. Todd says, Edward Shumpert, he's announcing on January 8th. He's talking about Trevor Etienne. And then Tyree says, what's going on, fellas? Al Kuhn says, good evening, guys. Kelly Ingram says, hey, guys, all in from Aiken, South Carolina. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Kelly. John says, Morgan's jersey equals like. Well, this is the national champions men's soccer team. And then the real McCoy says, how about them Chapman Panthers? Houston's like, when are we going to start talking about those Chapman Panthers?
Yo, I need to figure out who this real McCoy is. You might be related to me or something. I don't know.
Is that not your alias on YouTube there?
Not me. Not me.
All right. So we've got Clemson recruiting class. We've got commitment news. Not only guys that have committed and signed their early letter of intent, but also guys that haven't signed, and then guys that could potentially sign. So I wanted to start out discussing that. First of all, I've noticed a lot of people on social media saying the first question is, was Clemson's small recruiting class a failure for the Clemson Tigers? Now, if you look on Bleacher Report, there was an article out that was ranking winners and losers from the recruiting class this year. And they mentioned that the Tar Heels were a winner this year. And in their description of the Tar Heels, they did not list Clemson as a loser directly. But in their description of the Tar Heels, they said anything similar to what Clemson has done this year is a failure based on what they've done in previous years. So if you look at their previous years, they've been in the top 5, top 10. This year, as it stands right now, not in the top 5, not in the top 10. And depending on where you're looking at, maybe not even in the top 25. So it's a big change there. Now, is this recruiting class a failure? Well, my first thing is, let's say it's not a failure. It's not a failure because even though they are 17th on 247, they are 92.07. They have a 92.07 rating by 24/7, which would put them as an overall quality of 5th best in the nation. So while they may not be quantity where they need to be or where they want to be, quality is there. Now, on the flip side, for those of you in the chat that's already beating me up for saying no, if you say yes, they're not maximizing their roster potential because there are currently 10 open slots available. And they also have multiple decommitments. They also have multiple people in the transfer portal leaving the team. And they're not oversigning, as we know we've talked about many times in our classes or in our shows. So that could be on the positive side or on the negative side of, yes, they are failing right now. Big Al, we'll start with you. Do you agree that they're failing when people say that they're failing?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to something that you were saying earlier. It depends on what you compare it to. Honestly, if you're comparing it to past classes, then yeah, I mean, it's not where we have been. It's not nearly, the top 5, at least top 10 classes that we've been getting that we're used to. And most of the classes are bigger. But another point that I really want to bring up, and it's something that actually I noticed a second ago, Al Kuhn got in on the comment line. This class isn't finished yet. We still have till February. We still got some players, some high school players we can recruit. We still got portal players that I think Clemson's going to take a stronger look at this year. We're going to find out. We know for sure they're looking at offensive linemen that I think may or may not announce tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes, if they are able to pull him or not from Virginia. But, I mean, there's a lot of things you got to consider. The star rating is really good. I mean, it's the guys that we have are good. They're mostly 4-star guys, really across the board. I think their average is way up there. I believe you mentioned that a minute ago. So, yeah, I mean, the class has got players that can play. They're going to help Clemson moving forward for sure. It's a volume thing. I think that's what everybody wants to critique. And the fact that maybe with the New World Order and the NIL and the portal and the way things are going, maybe Dabo could have foreseen this a little bit better in the exodus and players leaving and been able to plan that into the numbers. Maybe he could have baked that into the numbers and realized we should have maybe recruited more. And that's a fair criticism, in my opinion. But again, it's not finished yet. We still got till February. We still got portal guys we can go after. So let's wait and see how it all shakes out before we render judgment.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think people who are using the word failure right now, I mean, that's just kind of ghoulish undertones as far as what you're saying. It's a failure. It's the same people that say this class is a failure are also saying that every inch of negativity that's happened this year is a referendum everything that Dabo has done in the past. It's ridiculous. Okay. And I'll say this, if You have said, and I don't think any of our fans on here would say this. I'm looking at Bill Lamb and Al Kuhn, and I realize that there's normal people out there, but you get on the absolute garbage fest that is the message boards out there, and whatever site you choose, whether that's 247 Rivals, it is unreal the amount of negativity out there, and it's just like, let it breathe. This class isn't over. This could end up being a banner year for this class. We don't know. You know that you've got 12 guys that are absolutely committed on coming right now that have signed on the boat, and they're all quality. I mean, I know that we want to compare to last year and all that kind of stuff, but people forget, a negative class for us is 8 4-stars and a 5-star. That didn't happen in 08 or 09. I'm going to keep bringing that up, that he's got, there's going to be measures of success that you have to do. And when you're in rarefied air like this comes with the territory. It stinks. You're going to have coaching churn or whatever. That's great for Dabo being able to help them out. But this is just one of the side effects. I think everyone wants to make a referendum for everything right now just because it's a season of change. Let it breathe. And I'll say this, and it's a word that Morgan hates, but relax. That's what I got to say.
Oh man. Well, I hope nobody gets on you for saying relax, but it's not my favorite word. But when I look at, did Clemson improve in the areas that they needed to improve? Now, they did lose in areas that they needed to improve, but let's talk about the positive. Did they improve in quarterback? Well, I would say they lost Tyson Pumachan and they gained Cade Klubnik. And from what I found out recently, Billy Wiles is probably going to be on scholarship, if not already on scholarship. So they gained Billy Wiles. So they're going to particularly go into the 2022 season with 4 quarterbacks. That's already a positive. They're going to go into the 2022 season with Cade Klubnik, who I think is potentially better than DJ Uiagalelei. And I would publicly say that if DJ continues his path that he has gone on and Cade is at the weight and body build that he needs to be, 180 is not going to cut it. But if he's at the weight he needs to be, then Cade Klubnik will be your starter by Halloween. That's my personal opinion. I don't think it takes long because you don't have time in today's world. We've already seen that it's about what have you done for me lately, and it's not about losing 3 games early in the season is not going to be good for you because you're going to have to be fighting against that the rest of the season and also fighting against that negativity in recruiting all the way to early signing period as what we've seen right now. And then, hopefully you won't add on to coaches leaving this next season. Hopefully there'll be continued stability as we've normally seen. But I will say that it's time to take a step back and to realize that Dabo Swinney builds this class and this roster the way he wants to build it. He's earned that right from day one because he was hired there to do that. Can we nitpick him? Yeah, but we also have to realize at the end of the day, as I've said this many times on the show, the stadium is his. We just drive by on our way to work, right? So it's Dabo's world. But I say quarterback has improved. I say wide receiver, even with the losses, has improved. This team greatly needed a slot receiver, and they got one. This team greatly needed a big-time one-on-one guy, and they got one. Oh, by the way, they're the 2 best in the state, which is a huge, huge recruiting advantage. Winning your state cannot be understated. Even though South Carolina is not the best state out there, you cannot ignore that. That is huge. I would even say offensive line. Have you seen pictures of Blake Miller and Colin Sadler? Those 2 guys are monsters. And they're going to come in. Again, another in-state commit there from Colin Sadler. Clemson finished with what? The 3 best or 4 best players in the top 6, I believe. So Clemson came out very good in the in-state recruiting. I would even say cornerback is a big recruiting get. You've got Toriano Pride, who did not decommit, considering that he is from Missouri or Illinois, depending on where you look. But and then Jaden Lucas, another in-state get that is a 5-star guy. So I think overall, Dabo Swinney can walk away and say that in front of the public that we met the needs in certain areas. That is true. Did you meet the needs in running back? No, you haven't. Have you met the needs in defensive line? No, you haven't. Have you met the need at linebacker, safety? Maybe not. You met the need at kicker because BT Potter's coming back. And a lot of people, like to think, well, that's not a recruiting get. Well, we said it when CJ Spiller came back. We said it when Travis Etienne came back. Let's say it when BT Potter comes back. It was going to be scary to come in and see Robert Gunn being your only guy there with no veteran presence. That would have been a disaster, I think. Now, I know Robert Gunn, according to Dabo Swinney, has been kicking it to the freaking stadium Jumbotron, from kickoff on top of the hill, right? But still, it's good to have a senior presence to teach you the ways in your first year. If you're there by yourself as a true freshman, I don't think it's very good. But yeah, that's our discussion. We're continuing to talk about what was Clemson's small recruiting class. Was it a failure or not? I think it's a resounding no, it was not a failure from all three of us. Let's get into the chat and see what people are saying and see who has checked in with us so far. We've got Chad Anthony. Dabo said Cade is magic. I think we would all agree with that. Kelly says, amen, relax. Kelly's on your side, Houston. Like Dabo said, we'll be just fine. John says, let's go with the chillax instead of relax. How about
either way? Just everybody just bring it down a few notches. All right.
I must have missed this where Morgan is doesn't like the word relax. Have you said that to Audrey a few times and gotten in trouble for it or something?
Oh, I'll tell you the story later at a different time.
Fair enough.
Al Kuhn says class is very strong for in-state players. Best in a long time. Let it breathe. That's what Houston said too. Let it breathe. Nick Santieri over on Facebook says, I'm here. New fan. Give me a shout. New fan. Golf clap for the new fan. Coaches leaving didn't help the cause, but still got till February. Al Kuhn says, number one QB in the nation. John says they could find late bloomers before February. They could get a couple of portal players before spring practice. More guys enter into the portal after spring. There is time. Bill Lanham says, gosh, people, recruiting isn't over yet for Clemson. Yesterday was just a day one of signing season. And I think all those are good takes from the chat as well over on Facebook and YouTube. If you haven't already, make sure you like the video and you subscribe over on YouTube or follow us over on Facebook. And then we are also on Twitter. Houston, what's your Twitter handle?
At Radio Guy Houston.
And then mine is at The Morgan T Show. And Bible Belt Beauties gets in, says Dandy Dozen. Well, Alan, the first time we ever went to a recruiting wrap-up, there was a Dandy Dozen.
There was.
And it seemed to work out pretty well. A lot of people were kind of back in the day, though, Al, the Dandy Dozen wasn't talked about like it was today,
Right.
The Dandy Dozen was kind of like, it's a small class, but, Dabo's just building it. Now it's a little bit more nervousness from the fan base about losing what you've already had, not being able to continue to build. Before we get into any more, and this is kind of the typical time where we go on our radio break, so we want to give a shout out to some of our special sponsors that have been helping us with our equipment and with allowing us to get on the radio and be on live streaming. We've got Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC. Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place. If you don't have the right agent, make sure to check out Lana Smith at Live Upstate SC. That's why we recommend her. She's been doing this for over 20 years. You heard it, over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today, 864-608-8313. Again, 864-608-8313. Then also the Charleston Sports Pub. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and some good food, you have to check out Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you're having fun playing all their games. Check them out, specifically the Charleston Sports Pub of Clemson, 359 College Avenue, Clemson, South Carolina. You can see there, Clemson legends dine there, and you should too. All right. I appreciate that quick break. I appreciate you guys letting us do that and letting us give a shout out to our sponsors. Seriously, though, if you have a chance to go to those locations or you need to sell your home or buy a home, go check Lana and go eat over at the Charleston Sports Pub. We know them both very well, and we appreciate the support. All right, so let's get in some more comments here before we come back from our quote-unquote break. All right, so Al Kuhn, Dabo could have filled this class up with 3-star players. Do folks think that would have been a good idea? I say no. All right, Al, I'll let you start with that. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a good idea. I mean, Dabo has never really taken a bunch of players just to take a player. It's not something that he really does. He wants to take people that he thinks fit what we need, fills those needs, and whether they're 4-star, 3-star, 5-star, it doesn't really matter to him. So, I mean, if a 3-star is good enough, Dabo would be happy to bring him on board, and that's fine. And as a matter of fact, I'm sure we'll be looking at some 3-stars until the February signing period, and that's okay. It's not that 3-stars are bad players. Heck, Travis Etienne was 3-star in a lot of services, and we saw how that turned out. So they can miss at times. I trust the coaches in their judgment and their ability to analyze the talent. So. Yeah, it's not necessarily a good idea just to fill up bodies to have bodies. You got to fill up with people who you think can contribute, whether they can compete and take over those starting jobs on the field, whether it be early or whether they may be a developmental project or whatever it means. It's a little bit different at Clemson in the way they recruit kids. But yeah, just loading up on 3-stars just to have bodies is not necessarily a good idea.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with that. I mean, look, there's probably going to be some 3-stars that Clemson comes across that by the time we get to February, we're going to go, you know what? It's pretty good. There might be a particular running back that we won't mention right now that if they were to go after, I would say would be that type of 3-star. But just to offer, same thing with the transfer portal. Like, you don't necessarily have to go throw your name out there to get a bunch of 5-star players that are out there. A lot of times it's going to be a culture fit. That could be a problem for them if it doesn't fit with a 3-star, 5-star, whatever. And if it just doesn't fit, they're not going to make that offer. I think for this, in the case of the transfer portal, and we'll probably talk more about this, one person that they've made contact with, I feel like they've done their due diligence on. I would think that culture-wise, he would look in the portal for grad transfers only because he wants someone who has gone through, done the right things, and is just looking for an opportunity.
I think it's great comments from everybody for sure. Get in the comments over on Facebook or YouTube. I see we got about 50 people watching. I really appreciate it so much. Only about 6 likes. So the best way to help the algorithm over on Facebook and YouTube is to hit the like button. That's the first thing you want to do. So those 51 people that are watching right now, I know you're enjoying it. 52, 53, I know you're enjoying it. So make sure you hit the like button because it's not just a show about us, but we want to include you in our show as well. And we want to include as many Clemson fans as there are possible out there. So hit the like button. That's the easiest thing. Then the next thing to do is to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of our exclusive content we put out every single week. I put out videos every week. I put out shorts every week on YouTube and over on Twitter at The Morgan T Show. I'm tweeting all the time, probably way more than I need to, or should. But appreciate it if everybody gets in. And then if you really want to go above and beyond, hit the share button and share it with one of your friends. Send it to them in a text message and say, check this out. Another thing, too, I wanted to say, as we wrap up the regular season, and this kind of goes back to our sponsors and their help with the show, I really wanted to take any extra money that we had or money that we had this year, because a lot of the times we're doing it from our home, so there's not much cost there. But I wanted to give back to the fans out there and actually run contests and have some fun with everybody. We gave out, fellas, over $1,500 worth of prizes. That's stickers, T-shirts, gift cards to fans out there, multiple fans every single week. We gave out $1,500, more than $1,500 worth of prizes. So if you were one of those people that were lucky enough to get a T-shirt or a sticker, like I said, we don't like to sell it. We'd rather just give it away to you. So I hope you enjoy that and get in and be a part of our contest. We're going to try to do some contests for the bowl game, maybe even roll some over into the basketball season as well. All right, so let's get back into it, fellas. The next thing up on the docket that I have is, which is the 2022 early signee that you like the most? Now, I did a YouTube short about this, and I went ahead and already kind of gave away my 2. If you're watching over on YouTube, if you're following me on YouTube, my first thought was Cade Klubnik. Cade Klubnik. I wanted Cade. I'm looking forward to him. But then my second thought after that was maybe I should take a step back, not put so much pressure on him, and ruin it. You know, I don't want to jinx the kid. So I'm going to take a step back. I'm not going to Cade Klubnik this time. I'm going to do, like I said, on YouTube Shorts, and I'm going to say for offense, I've got to go with Antonio Williams. I talked about the need at the slot receiver position. I feel like that he can come in and make an early impact because they really do need that niche player in the slot position, or niche player in the slot position, whatever you want to say. I think that it was a huge mistake. We said this at the beginning. Remember at the beginning of the season, I said, I don't know how I feel about Justin Ross at the slot. Well, they really had not very many options because of injuries and COVID issues. And if you noticed, Brandon Spector even had surgery recently. So it wasn't like he was just, not playing for no reason. He was really seriously had some medical issues going on. So Spector was out. Then you had Taylor was out. And then you had Ross, not really a good fit. Then you tried with Will Brown. You tried with Will Sweeney. And then you finally found Bo Collins, and he worked out for you. So it worked out towards the end of the year, but I really think they need to get back to their more traditional slot receiver. And I think, and I said this before they even offered him, Antonio Williams is that guy. I look forward to seeing what he can do and how great he can be. And so he's already been playing it at Dutch Fork. Just come on and do it for Clemson. And then on defense, there after all the decommits, there's not as many defensive players anymore.
No, there's not.
It kind of almost made me emotional because it was a class of a bunch of defensive commits and a few offensive commits, and now it's like even, and so it's a little bit sad. But I will say of all of them, I think Jaden Lucas, again, an in-state recruit, is so important. Not only that, but the best in-state recruit. And then also, if you look at it, with the loss of Everett, you don't really get that big time cornerback. You lost a cornerback, so it's important to keep that there. I think if you look at the overall depth chart, let me pull up my Twitter sheet here, my 2022 depth chart. Sheridan Jones is going to be a senior. Fred Davis is going to be a junior. Crazy. It's crazy to think, Al. I feel like it was just yesterday we did a recruiting video on the kid.
Yeah.
Malcolm Green, same thing. Allen was talking about Malcolm Green before he was even recruited. He's a junior now, dude. We're getting so old. Nate Wiggins, a sophomore, and then that's it. So you got 4 guys. So basically 2 deep in cornerbacks.
Yeah.
And Lucas and Pride are going to be your 3 deep, and they're going to be rotated. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to get some playing time there. So those are my 2 guys. Al, we'll start with you. What do you think?
Look, I mean, it's really coming down to me. I'm going to go with my top impact player, and it's Toriano Pride. I think Toriano Pride is the cornerback that I like the most. Jaden Lucas is the one that gets all the pub. He's the 5-star or the pushing 5-star, depending on what service you're looking at. He's the hometown kid, so to speak, or the home state kid, I guess I should say. He's from Malden, and I love Toriano Pride. I liked his film from the beginning. I was saying this, over a year ago when we started looking at this guy. I like his build. I think he's physical. I think he's tough. I think he's going to come in, and I think he can compete right away, honestly, especially with the fact that Mario Goodrich is going pro, and I didn't expect that at all. I didn't see that coming, and the fact that you're losing both starting corners, I think Nate Wiggins will start at one side. I think he's shown a lot of promise this year. And I don't know that Toriano Pride is going to come out and start necessarily, but I think he has that potential to maybe take over that role mid-season. I think he's the guy. I think he's the one I'm looking forward to the most. I think Cade Klubnik is the easy answer here. If that a lot of people wanted to go with, but I really like his ability or Pride's ability to come in and play earlier. Klubnik I like a lot too. I mean, this guy's a gamer. We've seen his film. Everybody loves his film. He's the number 1 quarterback in the class. I, for one, think DJ is going to make huge strides going into next year, and that's going to include whether it be continuity, people, staying healthy on the offensive line. That would be great. So maybe we could try out the same 5 out there for a few weeks. Receivers as well. If he gets another true slot guy, whether that be Will Taylor, whether it continues to be Bo Collins, or maybe it's Antonio Williams, like you said, maybe he comes in and plays early. I think if we can just stay a little healthy and stay a little consistent, I think that's going to go a long way into helping DJ be the player that we know he can be.
Please, God, stay healthy. I mean, we've really been blessed with a team that has not had to deal with injuries, albeit, also we drank a lot of Ostarine back in the day, according to the others in the middle part of the state. Houston, what's your thoughts?
Well, y'all took everyone, so I can't really say. I'll just talk about Adam Randall. He's really good. The sad part about this is he seems to be the forgotten piece of this class because of Antonio Williams. And look, that's not a slight to either one here. Antonio Williams, supremely talented, but you need a slot and you need a boundary. And Adam Randall is going to be a fantastic boundary. And I think he's walking into a situation where, a lot of times you need a boundary receiver needs to kind of, let it, like we said, let it breathe a little bit. T. Higgins wasn't T. Higgins day one. He grew into that. Justin Ross wasn't Justin Ross day one. He grew into that through the season. Adam Randall might not make early impacts during the 2022 season, but he could be a name, especially if you get deep into the 2022 season, that you look at the end of the season and you go, hey, this kid, he's a freak. And I think that's going to be something that we'll be talking about next year is the emergence of both Adam Randall and Antonio Williams, along with a plethora of other wide receivers that hopefully take steps forward in the offseason.
It's going to be interesting to see. You got your typical Joseph Ngata, and now that Ladson is transferred out, you got E.J. Williams that you expect to be kind of top on the depth chart there. But late in the season, Dakari Collins was really taking in and really stepping in for a need while E.J. Williams was out. And some believe that he's good, just as good, if not even better than E.J. Williams. So, you got these younger guys that are going to demand playing time, going to want to be seen out there. And then you also have, like you said, Adam Randall and Antonio Williams. Clemson University has always bragged on being wide receiver U, and I think they're continuing to land top wide receivers, even though at the 0 hour with Antonio Williams. But if you look at that, if you look at the roster, Ngata, Williams, EJ, and then you've got Will Taylor, who's a shifty little guy, and then Dakari Collins, Bo Collins, Troy Stellato, who has yet to really show what he can do. And then Adam Randall, Antonio Williams. It could be another stacked preseason on paper class. I know a lot of times we talk about that and then we get beat up for bragging on them so much, but it could be a big deal for these guys to come out and show up soon. Now, I feel like the wide receiver group is a little bit more stacked. It's going to be harder to go up that roster than it would be for, say, the cornerbacks. But I really like what you said. A lot of people in the chat are also saying Toriano Pride as well. Another thing that I wanted to mention was that this class, if it stays the way it is, and even if they add a few in there, Dabo Swinney may not want to publicly admit it, but there is a big gap in defensive line. Currently, there are no freshman defensive line coming in. I had on my big board that they were looking for 2 defensive ends and 2 defensive tackles. They didn't get either one of those. They eventually got 1 defensive end who then decommitted. If KJ Henry and Justin Maskell go to the NFL, or if just KJ Henry goes to the NFL, it looks like your starting defensive defensive ends are going to be Maskell and Murphy. Or maybe if both of them go, Williams, Swint, and Murphy will rotate. Williams and Swint will rotate, and Murphy will be there. And then you've got Cade and Zaire, who only played 1 snap last year.
Yeah.
Not including special teams, but only played 1 snap. So it's going to quickly become where it's a one-man show, and Miles Murphy and everybody else hasn't really had any snaps. Then you look at the defensive tackles. Tyler Davis has said that he's going to continue to play for Clemson as a senior. But then you got to think, Brian Bresee, is he really going to stay to be a senior? I don't know. It's hard to say. He did get injured, so he might need some more time. Then Ruka Rororo, man, he has really been coming on strong. A solid guy, put in the work, and it's showing. Could he potentially leave too? So then you've got 3 exits of Davis, Rororo, and Bresee leaving next season. Then that leaves you with your most experienced guy being Intenosa Rubin, or maybe Trey Williams and DeMonte Capehart, Peyton Page, and then that's it. So if they don't correct it in 2023, or maybe get some guys in the portal, maybe get a couple of guys in late ads, I see defensive line being an area of concern. Houston, I'll start with you. Do you agree?
Potentially, but everything's subject to change. You even heard from the headman himself. He can't put numbers out in 2023 of what they're going to project for because the roster situation is so fluid.
Every single day.
Every single day. And it could be that Clemson could right now go out and sign every portal player that they wanted to, and we get to spring practice and 5 more guys leave. So that's why he's not committal in saying a number right now. It's another reason I think everybody, once again, let's pump the brakes on what this looks like. I potentially think that if we're going to see someone go out of the portal, you'll probably see someone on the O-line, as what has been said. But I think he's going to pocket a few of these scholarships, 2 to 3, for just a potential of what might be out there if you have more turnover. You're going to have some turnover at this point. But if you need someone at defensive end, maybe there's someone that's a grad transfer in the portal that we don't know about that might come open after bowl season. And that might be what he's waiting for. Because, I mean, you can take these transfers in all the way up to, what, May 1st, I think? Something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I'm much more concerned about defensive end than I am defensive tackle. Honestly, defensive tackle this year, we're stacked. I mean, with Brazee and Davis, and then you have your backups are, I mean, obviously Rook Ororo is your main guy, but I think Trey Williams could be right there. As a matter of fact, I'm very pleased with how Etnos Rubin came along. I think he's done a really good job too. So, if Rook stays for his senior year, I'm not even concerned about defensive tackle the year after, because I think we've got solid guys there. Defensive end is another story entirely. Now, Dabo came out and said that maybe Xavier Thomas could come back, which is going to be a shock to a lot of people. Maybe KJ Henry could come back. Okay, which
Al, let me interrupt there. Alan,
Xavier Thomas has already said
did he?
Yes.
He replied to a guy on Twitter with a guy disappearing.
Yeah.
Yikes. So, I'm not on Twitter, so I don't do Twitter very much. So that would make sense that I don't know that. Which we all thought Xavier Thomas was going anyway, so that's no big deal. To me, the big deal is KJ Henry and what he decides to do. If he comes back, I think that solidifies the rotation. KJ Henry looked really good at the end of the season, especially in the South Carolina game, and I think that would go a long way into helping this rotation out, because behind them, Maskell, who has not done really anything consistently. He's got some decent playing time, but hasn't really done a whole lot. You've got Denhoff and you've got Zaire Patterson. Now, we're on record as saying we love the upside of Zaire Patterson. I think he's got the length and the explosiveness, the ability to be great. Will he get there is the question. Until we see it, I can't believe it. So I'm not really sure exactly how that's going to go. I think they need to use the portal in a big way to find a defensive end if KJ Henry decides to leave.
I like it. Great discussion. We're going to get into your chat because I see the chat just lighting up, and we need to get into that before we continue. We have about 63 people watching over on Facebook and YouTube, only 13 likes. So make sure you get in, hit the like button, and so you can, help us with the algorithm. You know how this all works. It's the algorithm. If you don't like it, then our video won't be shown to other Tiger fans out there. So first thing you can do is like it, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. And then if you want to stay up to date with videos we put out videos every single week, most of the time, multiple videos a week. And if you're new to the show, normally we are in studio on 105.5 The Roar and 97.5 The Roar on Thursday nights on the actual radio. But tonight they did a bowl show, and we wanted to continue with our show. So we're at home now, but we really appreciate if you get in and like our videos, subscribe, and follow us. And then also over on Twitter at The Morgan T Show. Houston, Allen doesn't use Twitter, but Houston does at Radio Guy Houston, right? Radio Guy Houston.
Correct.
All right. So let's get into the chat. Let's kind of catch up and see if we can go back from the bottom here. So Jamie and Jessica Walters says, get a third, LOL. Get a third. I'm assuming
shouldn't be going backwards. You got to go back up and then go down.
Okay. I'll go back up. Let me go back up. I don't do this normally during the live show. Let me go back up. All right. So Matt Mulkey gets in and says, Big Al, tell me more about Wes Goodwin. Well, Matt, I will tell you this. I do have a video out called Who is Wes Goodwin? And Al, it is almost at 7,000 video views right now. One of our best videos ever. So I don't, if I do say so myself, it was a solo video. So I personally recommend to watch that video.
No, that's your mom watching it 7,000 times.
It may be. My mom, I don't even know if she can find me on YouTube, to be honest. But she can definitely find me on Facebook because it notifies her. I set it up that way. All right, so John Chansey gets in and says, a 6'5" punter. We're not talking about the 6'5" punter in Jackson Smith. Mark Childress kept telling me, hey, listen, this guy is a 5-star, number 1 overall punter. And I said, you know what I love about 5-star overall, number 1 overall punters is that I hope we never use them. That's what I want with a 5-star overall punter. So That is my opinion on a 5-star overall punter. But Jackson Smith, field position is a big deal most of the time. John gets in. Slot will be loaded with Stellato and Spector. All right, could be. I agree. Jaden Lucas looks like he's really good on film. Chad gets in. Jamie and Jessica says, any insight on Virginia Center that will be looking at us in the portal? I actually have that up after we get through with this, so we'll keep that on the parking lot here, and we will talk about that. Agree with Morgan. Hey! Somebody agrees with me. Agree with Morgan on Williams. I've watched him this year, and this kid is lightning. If folks like Will Taylor, folks will love this guy. I mean, he's basically all of Dutch Fork's offense, to be honest, in my opinion. Wide receiver out of Myrtle Beach is a beast. Houston and Allen also agree. I agree too. John says, I've seen someone to suggest Oluwatimi will be silent commit tomorrow, and then he'll come in after the bowl game. Okay.
I'll allow it.
Interesting insight, John. I like that. I like getting some insider info, from the fans here. Dabo said Pride is going to be an amazing leader. Al was touching on that. So a lot of people also agree with you, Big Al. Man, I hope so. Talking about the recruit. DJ, he better work his butt off this offseason.
Amen.
A bunch of silent nods. Let's give him the silent nod. Mm-hmm. DJ needs to spend some summertime with Whitfield in San Diego or with some other guru. Ready for the silent nod? Silent nod.
There we go.
All right. Yep, he needs to do something. It's clear why Joe left. He simply wasn't going to see the field. And did you see he's going to USF? He's going to go with Jeff Scott, which is basically all of our transfers now are going to go to be a Bull down in Tampa. So, actually, you know what? That's probably the best place, to be honest. I mean, I'd rather them go there than anywhere else. Let's talk about Michigan UGA. I want Kirby to lose so badly. Well, let me tell you something. If Kirby Smart does anything like he did in the Alabama game, he's going to know exactly what the game plan is and not do it for 3 quarters. And then I think he's going to lose. I really do. Houston, Allen, do you think he's going to lose?
I sure hope he's going to lose. I mean, I have made no bones about it. My disdain for Georgia is well documented on this show. I haven't seen Mitch or Evan or Stephanie join in the show tonight, so that's probably good because they're obviously huge Georgia fans. But, I cannot stand Georgia in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And I hope they get beat by 100. And I'm not a big Harbaugh guy either, but if he takes down Georgia, sign me up.
You don't like the pleated khaki pants?
I think America's team this year is Cincinnati, though. I think we're all pulling for Cincinnati. I'm pulling for Cincinnati to win the whole daggone thing. And I think they're capable of doing it. Now, I mean, look, they could get beat by 50 points by Alabama, but they're not.
Bearcats by 50.
Well,
by 50.
Look, I don't think people understand that Cincinnati's as legit as they are. They worked Notre Dame. Notre Dame was pretty good this year. They came within 1 point of pretty much this same Georgia team last year. All right, it took Georgia until the very end to win that game. Cincinnati's not bad. They've just got to get it together. I think they've been on autopilot for too long, but I feel like they're going to be geared up to win it. As far as Michigan, Georgia, I mean, if Michigan plays like they did against Ohio State and Georgia plays like they did against Alabama, Michigan will win that game. I just feel it that way, and I feel like Michigan kind of gives off that Auburn 2013 kind of team of destiny vibe right now, that right now their game plan and they're in a groove. And I think Michigan right now is coming in with a lot of momentum for that game.
It's a funny thing you say groove, because I feel like when I watch them, they feel like they feel like the Atlanta Braves. They're just in a zone right now. They really aren't the best overall up and down roster, but they utilize their strengths so well, and they got some superstars that are confident. I think we talked about this all season. If Clemson had DJ at a level where he was confident, I don't think they lose a game. I really don't.
Absolutely. I would agree with that.
Half of the battle was his lack of confidence. The guys over at Michigan look like they have a ton of confidence. Same point to your Bearcats. They look like Desmond Ridder is on point. When I watch him, looks like a freaking baseball stud out there throwing stuff on a rope. I look forward to seeing what he can do and if he can pick apart that team. Dylan says Spencer, baby. Corporal Huss says, let's talk O-line. It seems like Dabo loves Dietrich Pennington. I see the O-line being LT, Jordan McFadden, Pennington, left guard, Linthicum, center, Will Putnam, right guard, or Hunter Rayburn, and also Walker Parks. Thoughts? I would be kind of disappointed in that starting lineup, to be honest with you. I would probably – I don't really like Will Putnam or Hunter Rayburn right now. They're on my naughty list. I don't feel like that you can keep Marcus Tate off the field. You already played him 500 snaps.
Agree with that.
I don't think if Tristan Lee is where he needs to be, you can keep him off the field either. So some of these guys are going to have to start getting jumped because I just don't see it. It's getting stacked here. Blake Miller and Colin Sadler are going to be licking their chops too. These guys are huge. They're ready to go day one.
Sorry to keep cutting in. I didn't mean to say it. One, I feel like it's a little too early considering, there could be a transfer portal guy that's involved with this. And if he's in there, then he's your day one center. I feel like you're going to definitely see Tate and Parks on the field. And then as far as it goes on the edge, on the tackle side, correct me if I'm wrong, they can use Walker Parks for both guard and tackle, correct?
Sure.
I would think they might move him in. They would move him in and then have someone at right tackle, leaving McFadden at left tackle. You might put Tristan Lee out there if he's at the size that he needs to be at right tackle. Or move Jordan McFadden back to his old position.
If they bring in Olusegun Oluwatimi, he's going to go in. He's going to come in. He's going to start at center, and he's going to teach Ryan Linthicum to get ready for his redshirt sophomore season. I believe he's going to develop. I mean, Ryan was the number one center in his class. Yep. So Ryan's going to want his time too. But I think that Oluwatimi can come in and basically, Jedi him, shepherd him into that position for 2023 and protecting Arch Manning. But anyways, all right. So one of the freshman wide receivers needs to come in and have a Sammy Watkins impact. And I don't mean that against Cade Klubnik because Cade Klubnik's definitely going to be the starter in 2023 too, I believe. All right. So Dylan says, GG this year. We'll see what's up next year. Oh, Dylan must be a Gamecock fan.
Yes,
he said Spencer. Oh, okay. All right. Deleted forever.
Wait. Let's get
Houston. We don't have a lot of time. We're definitely not spending time on a Gamecock.
Come on, man.
All right.
Let me just let me.
Clemson fan from New York City.
All right.
Pete Ellis. Looking forward to seeing how Barrett Carter and Andrew Makuba do next season.
Yes, sir.
Well, if snap counts say anything, Andrew Makuba played 62% of snaps this year, 523 snaps as a freshman. I mean, he's basically one of the top 5 snap takers if he was a sophomore and if he was a junior. That's crazy. All right. So McFadden, question mark. Beast mode. Thank you. Rattler to SC. Okay. There's Dylan again. Or skipping you, Dylan. Skipping you. Aren't they way ahead in this class already for 2023? So, to talk about the 2023 big board, there are 40 current players offered right now, fellas. For defensive end, defensive tackle, there are currently 10 out of those 40. So 25% of the offers that were made were for defensive line. Mateo Uyanalele, Malik Bryant, Tosili Akana. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Damon Wilson. Lebius Overton, David Hicks, Peter Woods, Vic Burley, Kelby Collins, Derek LeBlanc. Real quick, any one of those guys stick out for you, Al, Houston?
Well, right off the top of my head, as far as the ones Clemson I think is at least advanced their cause more with would be Peter Woods and Vic Burley. I think those are kind of the two guys. But Peter Woods, you're fighting the big boys for the Bamas of the world and all those. And of course, George is in with all these too, especially Vic Burley. But those are two guys Clemson I think has sunk their teeth into a little bit, and hopefully they're able to make a move with them and pull some rank on these guys because we're going to need them in a big way.
Yeah, I feel like Vic Burley, Peter Woods, and I think Derek LeBlanc. We were one of the first people to offer him for that. So I feel like the reason why he's there is, look, I mean, if you take a swing and miss with a Peter Woods against Alabama, that's going to be hard to get Peter Woods. But you got Derek LeBlanc out of Florida. We seem to do well down there. I like what we're seeing so far, and that's only going to go up from here. You're going to see way more in the spring and summer.
All right, let me get into our last two sponsors real quick, and they are the Heating Cooling Services Inc. Our friends over there, Jason and Mark, Jason and Mark. Let me take down this banner. I need to figure out how to take the banner down. Here we go. All right, the banner's down. All right, so family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1981. Heating Cooling Services Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance to your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home this summer, or nice and warm this winter, give Heating Cooling Services Inc. a call today. Call Mark and Jason Trammell over at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655. They've hooked up Alan. They've hooked up me on a residential side, and they also have helped and worked for the Tiger Sports Shop on a commercial side. So they can do literally everything and anything in between. They've been doing it for so long. Again, give them a call, 864-224-7655. They'll take good care of you there. We really appreciate their support of the show. And then speaking of Tiger Sports Shop, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. TigerSportsShop.com. TigerSports.com. We not only shop at Tiger Sports Shop, but we shop there so much that they begged us to be a sponsor for them. Not really, but we did ask them to be a sponsor because we love there and we shop there so much. I actually just went there last night and bought a new purple Clemson golf Nike pullover for next time I go out on the links with Mark Childress. But again, check out one of their three locations, 364 College Avenue, 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson, or 620 Washburn Avenue, right off of Highway 76 in Pendleton. If you're not in town, again, tigersports.com. All right. Thank you for the patience there. Like I said, we got to make sure we pay the light bill here. Bill Lanham gets in and says, spent a lot of money at Tiger Sports Shop yesterday. I told them Morgan Thomas Show sent me. Hey, awesome. We appreciate that. I was there too. I spent probably $150. It's crazy, but, all right. So let's see. Ernie Baker gets in, says Clemson will be all good. I believe in Dabo. And John Tempest says, does Klubnik put DJ in the portal? Ooh. Bible Belt Beauty says Rattler to South Carolina is worth talking about.
Is it?
I don't know. I think he's going to be a locker room cancer for them. We'll see. Jamie and Jessica say, first time coming across you guys. We really appreciate you being in. If this is the first time you've been a part of the show, again, we have a YouTube channel. We started over on Facebook 3 years ago. We started this thing. I did it by myself in front of a camera, and then Alan joined me, and then later on Houston joined me. We've been doing this. Like I said, this is episode 118. We do video clips. We started video clips last spring, and we do those throughout the week. We talk to you over on Twitter at The Morgan T Show or at Radio Guy Houston. And we also have the privilege of being on 105.5 and 97.5 The Roar on the radio Thursday night at 7 p.m. Normally at this hour, we would be on the radio, but right now they're doing a bowl game preview. So, but we wanted to continue to be here for you and with you at 7 p.m. So we're doing it on our Facebook and YouTube. But again, the best thing that you can do for us is like the video. That's really the easiest thing. Just click the like button. We have 78 people watching right now. 16 people have hit the like. So if you could just take a moment, hit the like button, that will help our algorithm and show our video out to more people. And then if you don't mind and you want to be a part of the show next week and be reminded, hit the subscribe or follow and hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with us as we throw out new stuff. Like I said, we try to throw out stuff. Alan, if you're not familiar with, does some in-depth stuff with a co-host of his. Maybe this year he'll have a co-host, but he does a lot of baseball stuff. So if he doesn't have a co-host, I think Houston's going to help him out. And I can come in there and just pretend like I don't know anything, which will be very easy with baseball. But Alan does a lot of in-depth baseball talk as well. So if you're a baseball fan in the spring, check it out. Houston and I and Alan, we all like basketball as well too. So We really appreciate the support from everyone. All right, so we're getting close to the end. We want to try to keep this an hour, just like we have on the radio. But we might go a little bit over just because I want to finish this last question. So, first of all, before I get to the last question, Oluskin Oluwatimi, Al, Houston, you kind of touched on it here real quick. Do you think it's a good pickup if Clemson can land him? I know Tony Elliott's trying to fight to keep him there. It seems like he wants to go try some other place in his last year. He only has 1 year to go. So, Al, I'll start with you real quick. Yes, no?
Oh, it's an incredible pickup if you can get him. I mean, this is something we've been struggling for a long time. We couldn't even find a center this year. We have rotated several guys in there. We struggled all year, especially on the interior. It's been a problem area for sure. And this guy, I don't think we've had a really good center to me since Falcinelli left. And this guy was one of the top 3 centers in the country. This would actually absolutely be a huge pickup for Clemson if they were to land him.
Yep, this would essentially be like getting a 5-star center. Even if it's for 1 year, who cares? Like you said, did I mind trick Ryan Lithicum into being a great center, and let's roll from there.
And then you've got so I will tell you this. I think it's a good pickup. Again, as I said before, I think that Oluwatimi can basically mentor Ryan Linthicum to get and take over that spot in the following year as well. All right, so let's look at what positions of need must be filled. This is going to be our last question. For 2022, as a lot of people said at the beginning of the show, the recruiting class is not over. A lot of people like to pretend that the recruiting class ends in this week, but there's still a lot of time. There's actually more players not committed this year than any year in the before, as they've been doing this early signing period. There's a lot of guys who haven't had the visits they want to have. And I'll tell you that about visits right now, according to the calendar, there's a dead period until January 14th. And then on January 14th to January 29th, there is the contact period. That means they can go visit them on their terms, and they can come to our campus as well. So it's complete open season right there. So for those let's say 2 weeks, 2 days, there's a big movement there. And then National Signing Day will be February 2nd, the first Wednesday of February. First February of Wednesday, Al.
You got there.
I don't expect much to happen right now. I expect there to be a dead period because it is a dead period until January 14th. And then I can expect get in on Twitter and on the paid sites and things like that, because there's going to be a lot going on. You get in on our channel because there's going to be a lot of us posting things about what's going on with those recruits those weeks. So the last half of January is going to be hot. Now, Al, Houston, I'll start with you. What positions right now are positions, if you haven't been following recruiting, what positions do Clemson need to fill, like with at least one player by February 2nd?
At least one. You got to have somebody on the defensive line. I think they're going to go after that. I think at least one more you need is a linebacker. You'll probably sign 2 if you read the tea leaves right. But I think they're proactively looking around for that. One name to bear in mind for that, TJ Dudley. And if they get in for that, this class is going to look really good. And then third would be on the offensive side. The only position really is running back. All eyes are on Trevor Etienne, but I think there is a certain running back out of Texas that, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it, but let's just say I won't be angry if that's the choice that Clemson decides to go with.
You don't want to put the name out there?
If Trevor Etienne does sign with Clemson, good on him. I'm happy. I'm happy with Trevor Etienne. I'm not mad about it. But if he doesn't, and there's a certain other running back out of Texas that I don't want to jinx this, that does sign with Clemson, I'm going to be perfectly fine with that.
All right, Big Al, do you agree with his assessment? Is there any needs that he missed? Or
I would say we need
that you're looking to get?
I think we need a safety after Sab left. I don't think there's a ton of depth there, but I agree with everything else he said. I'd like another linebacker. We thought we were going to get one in Koenig, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And you know, we've missed on a couple, and in fact, the defensive line, we have to have a defensive end to me in this class. I would like a tackle too. I would like at least one of each, honestly, because like you said, going into the season, one defensive tackle, 2 ends was kind of was kind of the number at least I was operating with, and I would be happy with that. But yeah, Houston pretty much nailed it, and on offensive side as well, running back definitely.
As the way it stands right now, fellas, when I'm looking at 2023, I got my charts out there that I've been making and developing. They basically are going to have to take a 25-person class next season.
Absolutely.
If they don't take a 25-person class, they're going to be even more behind. It's going to be a disaster. They're going to continue to try to fight this uphill battle. So it's everything, all signs are pointing to, even if they get the guys they want, I feel like all signs are pointing to they need about 25 right now, considering people are going to go in the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking if this class isn't big, 2023 definitely has to be big. As far as players that are not decided, according to Tiger Illustrated's or ClemsonRivals.com, that have been currently offered by Clemson: Keith Adams Jr., running back; Trevor Etienne, all-purpose back; Ernest Green, offensive guard, undecided; Hero Kanu, defensive tackle; Shamar Stewart, defensive end;
Mm-hmm.
Cyrus Moss, defensive end, which we've done a video on him;
Mm-hmm.
TJ Dudley, outside linebacker, Montgomery; Denver Harris, cornerback, Houston; Domani Jackson, cornerback, California; Jacoby Matthews, safety, which we did a video on him, but then he committed to LSU, and then he decommitted. Alfonso Allen, safety; Larry Turner Gooden, safety; Daniel Martin, safety, linebacker mix there. And then you've got a verbal but not committed Jaron Kanak. Here's what I think about Jaron Kanak before we get into that list of 13 players. Jaron Kanak, I think what's going to happen is, I think what Brent Venables has said, hey, this is just my opinion here. I think Brent Venables has said, hey, I have a gentleman's agreement with Dabo Swinney that I'm not going to steal any of his committed recruits. They traveled the country the week before, and he kind of knew that he was going to go to Oklahoma, or there was a good chance. And it's documented that he said to each recruit, you should stay at Clemson. And he pitched for Clemson. He did not pitch for Oklahoma. It's not Brent Venables' way to pitch against Clemson. According to Darren Rencher, he was at graduation today. Brent Venables with a Clemson pin on his jacket. So this guy has a lot of heart left in Clemson. But Jaron Kanak, I think the best, if he really wants to follow Brent Venables, I think the best way to handle it is to say, commit at the 0 hour at the end on signing day. I mean, you don't want to commit early, because then that kind of shows disrespect to other people that you told you weren't going to do that. But maybe you wait till the last minute and let him commit to Oklahoma at the end. Or you just say, hey, with the transfer portal the way it is, go to Kansas State and then come to Oklahoma the next year. Who cares? I mean, it's not like anybody has any loyalty anymore. So, or go to Clemson and then come to Oklahoma the next year. But I know they're not going to do that. We've already seen writing on the wall with Jaron Kanak. I don't know if you guys have any complete opposite opinion, but it seems like he's probably going to go to Oklahoma eventually, one way or another.
Yeah, I would agree. Whether it's Oklahoma or not, I don't think it's going to be Clemson, at least where things stand
that's
right
the
now.
big part.
Yeah.
All right, so of those 13, fellas, this will be our last thing, and then we're going to sign off. But of those 13 guys I mentioned, anybody strike you as somebody that they can go re-recruit that hasn't, or maybe put some more eggs in the basket for some of those guys?
Can you do a real quick rundown of that again?
Yeah, so we've got Keith Adams Jr., running back from Utah. Yep. Trevor Etienne, running back from Louisiana. Ernest Green, offensive guard from California.
Mm-hmm.
Hero Kanu, defensive tackle from California. Shamar Stewart, defensive end from Florida. Cyrus Moss, defensive end from Vegas. TJ Dudley, defensive end from Montgomery, Alabama. Denver Harris, cornerback from Houston, Texas. Domani Jackson, cornerback from California. Jacoby Matthews, safety from Louisiana. Alfonso Allen, safety from Miami. Larry Turner Gooden, safety from Mission Hill, California. Daniel Martin, safety linebacker from Marietta, Georgia.
Yeah, I think out of that list, the ones that at least I think we could potentially have traction with, Dudley would be the number one on my list. I think Houston mentioned him earlier. I wouldn't hurt to see him go again, or with Jacoby Matthews as well, the safety. So those would be kind of the two guys that I would think. I have no idea, what Matthews' thinking is, if he's even interested in Clemson anymore or not, but he was initially. So we'll see how it goes.
Hey, before I do that, I just want to address somebody in the comments. Somebody's telling everyone that Brent Venables is coaching the bowl game. He is not. It is Wes Goodwin coaching the defense. Wes Goodwin is coaching in practice. They've documented this. Brent Venables is at Oklahoma. So there's that. I just want to address that here. TJ Dudley, yes, that is number one. I think that's going to be someone they go after. I also think there's going to be a list of probably, 7, 8 to 10 recruits that they're probably going to start to pursue to get those needs. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's going to be some names that we don't see yet that they're going to extend out to in the next couple of days.
Yep.
I'm going to put that in the chat. Wes Goodwin, Mickey Khan are coaching the bowl game. I don't want anybody to be to have any kind of confusion there. So, all right. So John gets in, says Cyrus Moths, both top schools he was looking at had coaching changes. So, we did a video on him. We think he's good. We like what we see with his film, at least from his junior year. But we appreciate everybody getting in and being a part. Bible Belt says the show's much better when it's not on the radio. Well, I know that there are some problems. Now, I'll tell you this. I did end up, and I don't have
it. Was until
as I'm no. Here it is.
Amateur hour.
I did get a new cable. New cable. So hopefully this new cable helps Bible Belt, because I know the audio has been going in and out while I'm on the radio. And but worst case scenario, which is you can do what the radio wants you to do and listen to us on the radio and watch us on Facebook on mute. But, again, I appreciate anything. All right, this is our last call for any final thoughts, concerns, emotional outbursts from the guest. Houston, Alan, we'll start with you. Any one last statement before we go?
One last statement is wait to see what happens until February before you start calling this recruiting class a failure. Wait to see what they do when they get on campus before you start calling them a failure.
True. All right, Houston, last thoughts.
RELAX. I will say it to the day that I die. Relax.
Well, I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you being a part of the show. Going into our 4th full season, and hopefully some more news. Again, this has been a great season for us because at any time there's time to talk about Clemson or more to talk about with Clemson football, we're here for it. So we hope you're here for it as well. Make sure you like the video. There's about 75 people watching. Hit the like button before you go. Hit the subscribe button, the follow button, so you can stay up to date with us. And we'll see you next week. Again, on behalf of myself, Big Al, and Houston, thank you so much. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.